Really excited to get a chance to see everybody again. It's hard to believe we're almost in April here, but we just finished our first phase of our 21 season. We just had 8 weeks of winter training, which just finished up last Friday, and it was really outstanding. It's a very, very fun group to work with. We got an amazing leadership on this football team with a lot of experienced players, and I'm really proud of them, how they went through the first 8 weeks of winter training. You know, one of the things we emphasize is that you don't get to start the season where you left off. You got to start from scratch, and that all starts from building a foundation of working and getting stronger in the weight room and building that blue collar work ethic that we're really proud of here at Nevada. I want to update everybody on our coaching staff. First of all, we do have some changes. And I hired Ricardo Stewart, and Ricardo is going to coach our secondary. One of the things we've taken a lot of pride in here is we want to grow our coaches. We want to bring in young people that are extremely talented, teach them the way that we do things here at Nevada, and grow them in our program. I just think that's an amazing way to keep continuity and consistency in your program. Ricardo Stewart is an Arizona State grad. He worked and coached in Arizona before he came here. Highly, highly recommended. When I was at Arizona State, I knew about Ricardo. Very involved in the community there, coached in high school as well as worked at the University of Arizona State. Came to us as our lead analyst, which is a really important position for us. Worked with very closely with Brian Ward last year, and we just felt like we could elevate him and really keep a lot of continuity. Knew our kids, and really, really excited about Ricardo working with our secondary. We also brought in Trent Green. Trent Green's a guy that played for Coach Ward at Bowling Green and also worked with him at Syracuse. He's going to be our defensive analyst and work very closely with Coach Ward. And then we've also made some changes on defense. We're gonna kind of move some coaching responsibilities around a little bit. We're going to move Ronnie Wheat from safeties to linebackers. Ronnie had worked with linebackers before in his career, also played there. And then Coach Ward is going to work with Coach Ship and our defensive line. We feel like that's one of our most talented positions on our team. We just want to give it a little bit more focus and attention. And then it'll also free Coach Ward up to kind of overlook things with the entire defense. On offense, we also had a couple of changes. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to move Timmy Chang, who's a senior member on our offensive staff, and he's going to oversee our wide receivers. Timmy worked closely with them anyway, working with our tight ends and slots. And so he's going to overlook our entire wide receivers. And we had an opportunity to bring in another offensive coach. It's amazing the interest in the University of Nevada. I had 4 NFL coaches that wanted to come here and coach. And but the guy that we chose is a guy that's very familiar to Reno. Is Chad Savage. He's homegrown here. He was one of our analysts earlier in his career for a couple of years, and Chad went back to his alma mater, University of San Diego, and coached last season. But just amazing the impact that he had when he was here. I mean, all of our kids love Chad. Really was the guy they wanted to bring back. And so, I was really, really excited to have the opportunity to bring Chad back. And he's going to work with our tight ends, and also he's got experience with our receivers as well. So really excited to have Chad back. Really proud to have this coaching staff back. We had a lot of interest in some of our coaches from bigger programs in the off season, and we were able to keep those guys intact and really keep our continuity going into this really exciting 2021 season. Um, as we move into spring practice, we're going to start practice, as Chad mentioned. We're going to practice Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for the next 5 weeks. We get 15 practices. We'll finish with a spring game on May 1st, which is a little bit later than normal, but we felt with the way that the recruiting schedule is, it's great to be able to back that up a little bit and get a full 5 weeks of spring practice in. We are going to really challenge our players. We had a challenging 8 weeks of off season, and we're going to challenge them even more in this 5 weeks of spring practice in this second phase. Our goal is to really stretch our players as much as possible and rep them, give them as many game situations as possible. And really practice is our biggest advantage. The way that we practice, we felt like, we were able to start fast last fall, and it's because of the way we practice. So we're going to continue that. We've got a lot of players back. I think we got 10 of 11 starters on offense and 10, 11 on defense back. And, one of the things when I brought all these kids back, we talked to several seniors before we brought them back. And we just told them, we're not going to be the same. We're not going to be the same. We're trying to get better at every position. And so just because you played a lot last year doesn't mean you're going to play a lot this year. And so we're going to challenge every one of our kids. We brought in a lot of competition. We brought in four defensive players that we think we can really impact our defense and make us that much better. And we need to be better. We need to be better on offense. We need to be more efficient, score more points. And we feel like we could be better defensively and limit teams to less possessions and less points. And then we need to be more dynamic on special teams. And some of these kids that we brought in can really, really, really help us on special teams as well. I talked about some of the important dates. The spring game will be May 1st. The president has come out and said that, things are trending in a good, positive way, and that we're going to be able to do in-person commencements, which I think is amazing for our students here at Nevada. And we're also going to be able to have fans at our spring game. And, as we move closer, that will be a little bit more specific what that'll look like. We plan to have our grit run, and that's going to be done virtually. But we're going to see if we can raise some money for cystic fibrosis. That's something that's really important to our program and to our team. And I want to say we're really excited about the prospects of 2021. We really want to merge this community with this football team. These kids have worked extremely hard. This team is really trying to tap into being special. And we want to be a special football team. We don't want to be a special Mountain West team. We don't want to be a special group of 5 team. We want to be a special football team. And it's really interesting. I'm so excited every year. I really enjoy the draft and really enjoy to see the players that are growing and highlighted. We got a lot of players that have potential to be drafted. We have a lot of players that have potential to be unique and special in their careers here at Nevada. And we have a chance to have a special football team. And so every day when we go out and work, we're trying to tap into that. And our standards every day have been extremely high. And I think this team is embracing that type of work ethic and the way that they're leading this group and the way that we go about our practice habits. So, with that, I want to open up to any questions you may have and be happy to answer them for you.
Hey, Coach, how much do you relish just being able to have a spring slate of practices this year after obviously not having it last year?
No, I think we're all excited about returning to our normal calendar year. Football, as football coaches and players, I mean, we're a creature of the calendar. I mean, we're used to practicing this time of year. We're used to all being together. But in some ways, I think things will never going to be exactly the same. We learned a lot from last season. I think we learned a lot about how to practice, about how to meet. I think, one of the things we embraced as a coaching staff is we embrace being creative. And I think we found our players learn differently. Some of the freedom that we gave them to do things differently, they responded in a positive way. And I think we've learned better ways to present material to our guys, better ways to coach, and better ways to teach as a staff. And so, we're constantly checking with other people across the country and how they're doing things. And, we've watched other people practice and I think we're better. I think we're better as a staff. I think we're better as a team. And I think we're more mature as players in tapping into what we can accomplish. And so we're embracing that as a team. We're embracing that as a staff. And, we want to do things as well as we possibly can on a daily basis. I think that's what the goal of this team is. And we have a chance to do a lot of special things but it's all going to come down to how we practice and how we work.
What are the biggest things you want to accomplish during spring ball, during your 15 practice?
I think, the biggest thing that we want to accomplish is we really want to stretch each one of these kids. And, we're big on repetition here, Chris. I mean, we try to put kids in situations where they can learn, game situations, practice situations that reflect, third down, red zone, 2-minute. We want to try to put them in as many of those game situations so they can learn from that experience as possible. And I just believe that's how we practice. That's our advantage. When our kids get into 2-minute situations, they practice it a lot of times. And so they're very comfortable in those situations. So we're trying to learn about our players. And for coaches, it's great too, because we learn and adjust to our players and we do things that they have strengths in. And it's going to be a big spring for our quarterbacks. I know I didn't mention, Carson is not going to go through spring. Two of our best players, Carson Strong and Sam Hammond, both had some little bit of corrective surgery, nothing serious. But when you play a lot of football, sometimes your body gets wear and tear. Carson had to get some cleanup on his knee that he hurt in high school. And quite honestly, he wasn't 100% last fall. He played every game, but it was bothering him a little bit. And it was a great opportunity, we felt, for him to get cleaned up and so he could be 100%. He'll be able to go through walkthroughs and throw some skelly, but he won't be turned loose to fully practice until June. And Sam Hammond's the same way. Sam Hammond he played in every game, but he wasn't 100%. He wasn't his total self. And so I'm just excited to be able to get those guys back, feeling 100% great physically and being, playing at their very best. I don't think we've seen their very best yet. And so, but we want to give those backup quarterbacks, Nate Cox, Jake Bartledge, and the rest of our guys will get a ton of reps. We'll find out what it's like to play without Carson this spring. And I think it'll make us a better football team. It'll prepare those guys if they have to play, and it'll prepare our team. If we have to play without Carson, what does that look like? And so really excited about that. And really seeing the depth at different positions. I think, one of the things that we've got to be better at, we've got to, our backup O-line's got to be great. Our backup D-line's got to be great. And to be, an exceptional program, to be a program that competes for championships, you got to have competition at each position. And I think that's the thing I'm most excited about, is seeing the depth in our O-line, seeing the depth in our D-line. As a coach, we work really hard on this roster. And I just didn't feel like our depth in our line was very good. when I first got here. For the first time, I really feel like we have depth and competition in our union room. Um, we got twos and threes that can go in there and compete. We got twos in our D line. And that's probably the most exciting thing about this football team. A lot of people look at our skill and, be excited about Romeo and Elijah Cooks and Cole Turner and Toa and those types of kids. But really, to be the type of team we want to be, we got to be good in our lines. And that's the thing I'm really excited about is our offensive defensive line. We have depth and we got size and we've got physicality. And to be a good football team, that's what you got to have.
You guys are really a step away from being a championship team last year. I guess, what do you guys have to do over the next several months to be a championship team in 2021?
I think we got to get better. I mean, I really do. I think, and that's the one thing that I actually use Tom Brady as an example. I've been reading and studying a lot about how he's handled his situations, but one of the things that you got to have to be a really good player is you got to want to get coached. You got to want to improve every day. And I told them all, I said, you all got to get better, from Carson Strong, to Aaron Frost, to Dominic Peterson. I mean, all of our players got to get better. And we want to be a better pass rush team. I think we have a chance to really, when you watch the NFL, I probably, my coaches probably get tired of me when I watch NFL game. I probably talk to my coaches more during an NFL game than anything, playoffs and Super Bowl, but just watch and see how in the NFL, how the defensive line affects the game. I mean, our pass rush has got to be more productive. We got to get to the quarterback more. We need to start changing games with our pass rush. And I think we really have a chance to be that kind of team, a healthy Sam Hammond, Don Peterson, Zach Mahana, Tristan Nickel, the way he showed up in the bowl game. Those guys need to be factors in the game. I mean, they need to change how people play against us. And with the way that we have an opportunity to score, our pass rush has got to be dominant. And so, we got high standards. We got to improve at linebacker. We got to be more athletic. And we really got to dial in the secondary. I think we have to play tighter coverage. I think we have to challenge receivers more in the back end. And the more that we do that, the more our pass rush has got a chance to get home. So, and I think, offensively, we need more depth at receiver. But our physicality's got to show. We got to be able to run the ball when we want to. And we got to really put pressure on defenses to be able to play the whole field. And, I think Carson and our quarterbacks understanding that and, really having Toa for a full season and Devontae Lee and, Avery Morrow is another one that will not go through spring, but we were so excited about Avery last year and he came right in that first game and scored a touchdown in the first quarter. We had two true freshmen score touchdowns against Wyoming early in that game and Torrey Horton and Avery Morrow. And I think it's just a tribute to the talent on this team. We expect those young players to perform for us, and both of those kids should be better, along with Jacob Gardner, another true freshman that started for us last year. He should be better. He was voted on our leadership council this year, which just shows the respect that he has from his teammates. And that's probably the most exciting thing about this group, Chris, is our leadership. I sit in that leadership meeting and I see guys like Lawson Hall and Carson Strong and, Jacob Gardner and Tyler Orsini and Dominic Peterson, Sam Hammond. These kids have all played a lot of football. And, the big thing they got to learn that they're no different than any of these teams we see. We watch all these, Power 5 teams, nationally ranked teams. They're no different. These kids are all college students. They come here to play ball. They come here to win and win at a high level. And so really the only thing that separates them is what they decide they're going to do on a daily basis. And that's how we're going to try to separate ourselves. This team has committed themselves to have those high standards on a daily basis. And, when you practice well, you play well. And so the charge of this group is to go out and put great practices together every day.
Coach, you had mentioned a couple injuries earlier. Is Elijah Cooks 100% for your spring practices?
Yeah, Elijah's back and he's working with our team. We're going to be smart with Cookie this spring. He's going to participate in Skelly and routes, and he's working now with our guys. We'll probably be smart with him in some of our contact drills, and he won't be fully released, but he is back working with our guys in a daily rotation. And so we're excited to have him back. We got him and Torrey and Romeo Dubs and Cole Turner and that's a fun group to watch work. And really we're putting pressure on the younger kids to step up and be able to execute at that same high level. So, but yes, Cookie will be back this spring. He will not be fully turned loose in our full contact drills, but he'll be back this spring working with our guys.
Were any of your guys who signed with you from the high school level in this 2021 class, will they be joining you guys for spring ball?
Not in spring practice, but we do have some new additions that'll be fun to watch. Bentley Sanders is a corner nickel return man from South Florida who's transferred. Really dynamic player, great speed. Isaiah Sema is a transfer from Wake Forest, who's a corner. I've been so impressed with those kids in our off-season training. Two of our fastest players on our team, both very physical in the way that they train, and we're really looking for that to translate to the field, and excited to work with them. Miles Hayes is a safety from William and Mary. Really, played a lot of football, and one of the biggest things that we need at safety is we need field awareness. We need guys that understand football, understand the game, can help other people get lined up. So many of your great safeties, they weren't necessarily the best athletes on the team, but they had great field vision, could see the whole field and get people lined up. And Miles is a big, tall kid, very rangy, comes from a football family, and his dad is an NFL coach. His cousin was a first-round draft pick out of Texas, a 7-foot center, Jackson Hayes. So he comes from a great athletic family, but really, really excited about him. And then Chris Whitaker, who was, the best pass rusher at Florida Atlantic. He was a Kentucky transfer, one of the most athletic guys in our off-season training, really a pass rush type specialist. But we're so excited about those guys being here and being a part of spring. And then Chase Davis is another kid, a junior college defensive end from East LA. Will be here as well. And, he's a guy that's got a chance to impact us defensively. So we have 5 new players that are they're not freshmen. They're transfers. They're guys that are ready to play physically. And, we got to turn the heat up on this defense. So we need to start, really pressuring people. And we want to play more pressure defense. We want to play tighter coverage. And, we want to really, really start affecting teams offensively. And so I'm excited. You think about last year, we had 3 new defensive coaches. We had a new scheme. We had no spring practice. We had no summer training with those kids. And we basically had to jump right into the season with very limited repetitions in playing our defensive structure. So, and I thought we got better as the year went along. I thought we really controlled and managed people. I think we didn't give up many big plays, and we really did a good job against the run. And so we just want to continue that understanding. We want to play tighter coverage, as I mentioned, improve our pass defense, and really put people in passing situations where we could get after them with our pass rush. So, that's what we're going to work on. And, I think it will make us better offensively as well to have to practice against a pressure outfit like that. And I know what last training camp, we saw a lot of man coverage from our secondary, and it made our receivers much better. And that's one of my goals as a coach, to make practices as competitive as possible. So when we get to games, we've basically seen it all. And so that's where we're headed right now.
Coach, besides a few of those guys that you had just mentioned, was there a position group or two that you saw some pretty big strides at in the weight room?
Yeah, I really think our secondary has got tremendous competition. We've been recruiting back there for the last few years, and we got a lot of athletes back there. We've got a lot of guys that we've recruited to help us, and one of the things, we have tremendous competition, and we got great potential, and it's really time to start solidifying who those players are. Burdell Robbins is probably the one guy that we know in a big game that will go out and play consistently. And we're excited to have Burdell back, but we need two other cover guys. We need another corner that's going to be consistent back there. We need a nickel that we know we can line up. And in this day and age in football, you got to have three cover corners, because you see so many spread teams. Like if somebody plays against us, you better have a third guy that can play in the slot to cover Cole Turner or Melquan Stovall. And teams just fall short that way. And that's one of the reasons that we play the style of offense we play, is because, most teams have one good corner, maybe two guys that can line up, but very few have three that can cover. And so, we're going to find a weak link in a team's defense. And so we need to be that way on our defense. We need to find people that can cover. Sorry, I don't know how much of that you missed, but I really want to play man coverage. Just from my time in the NFL, I just think that people aren't used to getting open versus man coverage. Teams don't train receivers at a high level. And so we want to force people to play to their weakness. We don't want to give them things that are easy. And if you watch professional football, you're going to see man coverage. If you watch the best teams in the country, they play man coverage. You watch Clemson and Alabama and the teams that are playing in the college football playoff at the end of the year, they're playing man coverage. And so we want to teach that here. We want to practice against it here, because when we play the toughest games of the year, we're going to have to play it. And so, I was really lucky to work for Al Davis for a couple seasons with the Oakland Raiders. And he always talked about starting at the end. And so we practice with the toughest moments of the season in mind. And I just think that benefits you in the long run. But we want to, we really want to see this secondary this spring. We want to see who's going to emerge. We brought in 3 junior college transfers to work in the secondary. We want to get better back there. We got to solidify an attitude and personality, and we got to cover. And we got to challenge people to beat us throwing the football. And, if we can get through these 15 practices and find out who our starters are in the secondary, find 3 guys that can cover and a couple of safeties that can see the field and play with great feel, that's going to really benefit us. And the other part of that is, safety's got to be able to communicate. They got to get people lined up. They got to be the quarterback of the secondary. And I don't know that we've found that yet. Tyson Williams has done a great job back there. He's physical. But we've been inconsistent with the rest of our players, and we need to find consistency. We need to find maturity. We need to find experience in the back end, and we got to solidify that and settle in with a group that we know we can win with.